Hey guys, Brent Hull Build Show, talking today about cabinets. Cabinets 2.0, how to really make exceptional cabinets. Come join me. Here's the deal. I was in the UK. There was a Lutyens, Edwin Lutyens. He was an architect, maybe one of the greatest architects. We'll talk more about him. It was a arts and crafts tour. So we went and looked at a bunch of historic houses from guys like Philip Webb, Boise, and Lutyens. And so we went and looked at a number of different things. We actually snuck in a Robert Adam house as well. While I was there, I kept looking at cabinets because when I came out with that last cabinet video, a number of you said, hey, I want to see details. I want to understand this better, what's going on. So I found a number of good examples that I wanted to share with you as far as just fixing cabinets, just making them better. So here's a few of the deals. Let's just say that you've got this room like this and you want to put these bookcases in it, okay? That's the challenge that a number of these guys face. And if you look at some of these pictures, we're going to see kind of how they handled it. The first one is just this bookcase that Lutyens does in the YWCA building and how he organizes it. Now, notice how he uses the classical system, and you'll see this quite a bit as he breaks out the cabinets. So if we just look at this room and the pedestal is this height, column goes up, there's an architrave and a frieze and a cornice, right? And so there's my room organized. You are going to see the same thing that he's doing on these cabinets, in that there's a chair rail where the pedestal height is, there's a large tall base, and then there's cabinets in here, and then the cabinets are broken up with crown at the top, right, to elevate this. Now, one of the things he does, and one of the things you'll see all of these guys do, is all of the cabinets are organized into odd numbers. So if I have this wall here, right, I want 3 or 5 different breakouts. And what he does on this one, he's got this broken out. And this is something very simple to do, that even if you are not going to introduce the classical system, which would be a mistake, you can still elevate these cabinets with this kind of punctuation. Now, looking from the top, the plan view is that, let's say that there's what you see is that if the wall's back here, he's actually kicks this front center out, so that what that does is that all those moldings all through here get retold, okay, so that this little section is kicked out, and because we see the shadow lines of this system right there, it elevates it, right? The way they painted it is a little bit funny, but first of all, notice that it's done in odd numbers, so if we're just going to look for rules, it's odd numbered sections, okay? That's kind of rule number 1, okay? And what that does, and the reason why 3 and 5 work better than 2 is because my eye now is on the center line of this cabinet, okay? And if there's only 2 pieces, my eye would be right on the mold strip that's separating the cabinets. By doing it in 3s or 5s, I get a central focus there, so that's number 1. 2 is make sure you use the classical system, okay? Now you guys know that I love that, but the reason why is it helps organize the eye and it helps bring it together. Now what that means is that even if I have a very simple cabinet system, I'm going to have this one being the most important, that chair rail, that pedestal height being most important. So I'm going to build out a molding at this height so that it organizes it, so that I have a strong base and then it carries this upper section, right? Number 3 would be hierarchy. And you'll see that on some of these other things that we go, where this central section is kicked out, right? So that it provides clarity. But it's a very simple detail, guys. All you're doing is you're building a box here, and then you're building a box that's maybe 2 inches to 4 inches deeper than this other one, just enough so that I get movement around these moldings when it goes in here, and so that I get a little depth. Notice as we look at these cabinets that there is oftentimes a big pilaster inside here, so that, again, it elevates the cabinet. Now, where you'll see a lot of this really taking place is with the Adam house at Kenwood. Now, Kenwood is a 1730s, 1740s house that was redone by Robert Adam in about 1776, right around our revolution. So he elevated it. There was a remodel. Robert Adam comes in and puts in a lot of Adamesque or federal style moldings and details. This library was created, and the plan of the library is basically this big room, but there's this semicircle entrance here, this semicircle library back here. So you come through this door, and then there's bookcases in here, okay? So the bookcases here, bookcases in here, bookcases in here. So it was a library. It's a very fancy library, as you'll see. Look what he did, and we'll just highlight this area. So one, he's got it broken into 3 sections, right? 2, it's heavily ornamented, so the hierarchy is really high. One of the nicest rooms in the house, therefore you're going to see the most moldings. Look at the size of the base. Look how big the base is. Look at the pedestal cap. Look how they've got a wide pilaster right inside here where they've decorated it up, and then of course they got the moldings around the top. But that is probably the extreme example of ornamentation, beauty, all the different things that are going on and being organized. Another house that we looked at is a guy named Webb, okay, in this Stanton house, which is the last house he did. What I want you to show you is a simpler way, okay, of looking at these bookcases, and you've got a low header height of these cabinets because it's in that arts and crafts tradition, and it's only the bottom portion of that cabinet that's been kicked out. The top portion stays even across the top. It's a very subtle way of taking a very plain wall, which is that's what that is, and increasing the interest and increasing the beauty of that thing just by creating this, they call it an ABA system, where you got A section, this is B, and then this is A, and so the A's match each other, and so it's kind of this ABA layout, very simple, very clean. At the Voisey house, I'll show you another very simple way of treating 3-part cabinets, is they have these buttresses. And so what happens is, if you look at the outside of that house, it has these buttresses, okay, which goes back to that Gothic arts and crafts English study. And instead of doing a pilaster right there, there's a big buttress that comes down. And if we looked at that in elevation or in section, it just comes out like this. And so instead of just having a straight pilaster, they have brought the outside of the house, brought the architectural pieces from the outside, and by breaking up those 3 sections, we now remember where we are, remember the buttresses, but it's a very simple way of increasing the architectural integrity, the architectural look of the house in a very simple, inexpensive way. The last cabinet is also at the Webb house, and basically we've got a cabinet that looks like this. Now there's a lower section right here, and then there's the brackets support, okay, this upper section. I've got a lower section in here. I've got brackets that support this upper section. And what do we see here, guys, right? 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And because these brackets are in here, they support this shelf that goes above. But look what he's done down below. I've got a pair of doors. One, I've got a big base that goes across here, right? Not that standard base. It's about 6 or 8 inches. There's a pair of doors here. And then there's an open section in here, okay? And then there's a pair of doors down here, okay? Now notice what he's done. That by breaking out this lower section, okay, into that ABA thing, right? There's your A, B, A, right? The sizing of this thing has established that I've got symmetry, I've got balance. This is very strong in that it supports these upper cabinets. I've got broken out into 5 so that my eye is centered, kind of on the center line of this cabinet, right? He has played with these classical proportions and classical details, used a lot of arts and crafts motifs, but still organize the cabinet in a way that we understand and is beautiful. So if you go back to that organization, the odd number of sections, the classical system that breaks out and organizes the elevation, and then the hierarchy of kicking these things in and out, you practice 2 of those things and your cabinets are going to be 10 times better than everybody else. We were having a conversation on our production meeting today with my guys, and we were saying that one of the jobs, they need cabinet makers. And they went around the table, hey, do you know a good cabinet maker? And I said, the reality and sad part about today is that most cabinets are production cabinets, just like most houses are production houses. What that means is that everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's got cabinet vision, everybody's got a CNC that cuts out the parts, everybody's assembling and building these cabinets in the exact same way. And being in the millwork side of our business, I know because I go to the woodworking fairs and I see those people advertising and how much money you're going to save if you buy a CNC machine. But what that means is that our cabinets have become automated and everybody's using the same programs. That's why everything looks the same. They use MDF instead of plywood. They use, cheaper hardware. And so we have the opportunity to do much better things. The other side of the world is the guys who are almost the furniture grade shops and the guys who are really skilled craftsmen, but they're much more expensive. They're slower. Their shops typically aren't as big. So that's the world we live in. And so the opportunity for us guys is if we look to the past, looked how cabinets are organized, looked how that's put together, we can really be making and building more beautiful things. Okay, so what do you do, right? What do you do if you need cabinets? One is to find a cabinet maker who is going to be open to and interested in doing something better. Then you guys can have a conversation. We've done in the past is talk to them and say, look, these are the details we want. This is the level of customization we need. Maybe show them this video and just say, look, we want to practice 2 of those 3 things Brent was talking about. Can you help us out? Finding guys who are willing to do that really is going to make a big difference and really will kind of elevate you above, what other people are doing. Okay, so, learning from the past, that's kind of a mantra for me. I looked at the past on this recent trip, found some examples of simple ways to make cabinets better. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.